শুভ সন্ধ্যা প্রিয় দর্শক শ্রোতা। আজকে 13তম বুধবারে আমরা হাজির হয়েছি আমাদের উপসংহার পর্ব নিয়ে আমাতে আমি। আপনারা সবাই জানেন তরুণদের প্রোগ্রাম আমাতে আমি, তরুণদের অভিভাবকদের প্রোগ্রাম আমাতে আমি, তরুণদের শিক্ষকদের জন্য প্রোগ্রাম আমাতে আমি। সো hello viewers, today it would be in English and Bangla. It's a mix. We do have a few international guests to talk, and let's start Amate Ami, the concluding episode. জি, আজকের উপসংহার পর্বে আমাদের সাথে যুক্ত হতে যাচ্ছেন তিনজন বিদেশি অতিথি। আমরা এ পর্বের নাম দিয়েছি চলুন SRHR নিয়ে কথা বলি। So viewers, today we will be having 3 international guests, those who have been working for long with the young people, especially on SRHR, sexual reproductive health and rights. Sexual reproductive health and rights is an untold issue still in some of the parts of the world, including Bangladesh. Many times, we often asked by the people, that is, whether SRH rights is the human right or not. So we'll be talking about it. Let's start speaking on SRHR. So today we do have here 3 international guests, one from USA, one from Netherlands, and one from Malaysia. So first of all, I'd like to invite Irit Houvraz. Hello, Irit.
Hi, Noor.
Good evening.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Welcome to our program, and it's nice to have you here. And Irit, the audiences, Irit has been working for long in the field of public health, especially sexual reproductive health and rights. And the one underlying thing is that Irit, in her young professional time, she had been here in Bangladesh and did work with the young people of Bangladesh. And the milestone work of her, which we also feel proud of, is that at that time we developed Nijeke Jano, and she was part of that development material. So Irit will be talking on SRHR today, and let us invite 2 more guests. Now I'm calling Yuri Ulrich.
Hello, good afternoon, Noor. How are you doing?
Hi. Hello, Yuri. Welcome to our show. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for making your time available for this program. The audience is Yuri Ulrich. We can call him Yuri for our convenience. Yuri has joined us from the Netherlands, and at this moment he has been with Rutgers, Netherlands, and he is a sexologist by profession and a very good consultant and a trainer as well. So Yuri also have experience working in Bangladesh, and recently he has been providing his technical assistance to many of the Bangladeshi programs that is supported by the Dutch government. So
Yep.
Yuri will be here for discussion, and already you know that is we do have another guest here, Irit, and we are going to call the final guest, Tomoko Fukuda.
Hello, everyone. Good
Hello.
evening.
Hi,
Good morning.
Tomoko. Good evening, and Tomoko Fukuda has been now with International Planned Parenthood Federation. You all know she is the regional director for many long things, East Asia, South Asia, Oceania. Yeah,
Yes.
I have mentioned all the things. But again, Tomoko, by nationality, she is Japanese, but now is posted in Malaysia. She has joined us from Malaysia. And another just audiences, we also love to share that Tomoko has also worked in Bangladesh with many programs, especially when she was with JOICEP, a Japanese organization. And with the support from UNFPA, we had the opportunity to work with the Bangladeshi young people, especially there was a program called MOVA, Movement on Adolescent Health, and she was closely associated with this program. Okay, all of you, welcome. So we'd like to start, and also the guests would like to say that all of the audiences from Bangladesh and all over the world, they have been watching this program. এবং দর্শক মণ্ডলী, আমরা যেভাবে বলে থাকি, আপনারা আমাদের প্রোগ্রাম দেখে মন্তব্য করতে পারেন, প্রশ্ন করতে পারেন, আমরা এটা আমাদের স্ক্রিনে তুলে ধরব। So let's start the discussion on SRHR. First, I'd like to invite Irit. Irit, what do you think about SRHR? You know, you are back there in United States, but in general, what is the global scenario? You know, and you had been working for long with the young people. What is your perception? Maybe, and also you did work with Bangladesh.
Thanks, Noor. Well, I'll start with speaking about my time in Bangladesh. As you mentioned, I was very young in my career, and I came to Bangladesh as a researcher to work with esteemed colleagues, esteemed Bangladeshi researchers who were wanting to understand the situation of adolescents and their sexual and reproductive health. And my mindset at the time was that adolescents have expertise on understand their own situation and their own lived experience. And it was important to engage with programmers, engage with those who are constructing and establishing programs on sexual and reproductive health and rights, engage them in a discussion with adolescents themselves, train them in research methodologies so that they could understand adolescent experience and adolescent expertise in their own lived experiences. So it was really, I felt my role was a facilitator to create connections, to allow young people to demonstrate their own expertise and to build that exchange. Giving adolescents, allowing them to have agency, particularly young female adolescents, is really important, and informing them and educating them and giving them access to the information that they need, regardless of who they are and where they are, is very important. I think we need to think of SRHR as a human right, allowing young women to have access to knowledge and information, regardless of who they are. I think we did a very good job in those days of not thinking of young women as homogenous, as one same group, but understanding where marginalizations are, where there are inequities. Those young women who are out of school, those young women who have been married with or without their consent, and providing them access to information, regardless of whether they have sister-in-laws who can help them learn and grow, regardless of whether they have teachers who can help them learn and grow. So really reaching out to those young women who have the least access to knowledge and information and services, and empowering them and providing them with opportunity to develop their own agency.
That's good to know. In fact, Edith has already shared with us about the participation of the young people, and particularly on this issue. But can I request Yuri to share his idea, because you are the sexologist, and you know that whenever the issue of sex and sexuality comes, and be it Bangladesh, be it anywhere in the world, everybody starts holding their hands very tight, not loosening. So, what is your experience here in Bangladesh, to talk about sex and sexuality?
Well, thanks, Dr. Noor. I've been privileged to be in Bangladesh since more than 10 years, so on a regular basis, talking with young people, but also adults and professionals on sexual health. And yeah, basically what I find in Bangladesh is what I experience in other places in the world, including the Netherlands, that once you build a trust in a group, and you, like Ishrat said, when you acknowledge the expertise of young people or the other people in the audience, they will feel comfortable to talk about personal and sometimes sensitive topics like sexuality. And I think it's very important that we succeeded in many projects with PSTC and SRHR and other organizations to include a lot of young people, because they know what's going on, they know what the people from their age need, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about sexuality. Actually, sexuality is much more than the intercourse many people think about. And when you learn about this in an age-appropriate way, in a cultural, sensitive way, which is for me a very important issue, and that's why we always work with the Bangladesh people on an equal basis. You make life a lot easier, and it will make it easier for young people, boys and girls, and anybody in between or any other place of the gender spectrum, to make their own decisions, to understand and to let go many old ideas about girls, about gender, about boys' sexuality.
Thank you, Yuri. But while you were talking about the sex and sexuality, we, the seniors, so-called, to the young people, we think that is okay. We had been at our in that age, so we know whatever their need is. So the way we ignore their voices. I'd like to come to Tomoko about hearing the voices is very difficult. Tomoko, you have worked in different parts of the world, and now leading the region at IPPF. What is your perception about this? Hearing the voices of young people and how we adults are interacting with them.
Yeah, thanks, Noor. Now, as you say, SRHR, and when the immediately after you say the word sex, everybody sort of pulls back, and sexual reproductive health and rights is such a long and daunting terminology, I think. But in reality now, there's information about sex, sexuality, sexual relationships on internet. There's a flood of information, and I think the young people now have information that we didn't have access to when we were back in those days. So, when you say how should we listen to young people, I think we definitely need to craft our interventions or our thoughts based on what the young people now are thinking and listening and hearing to. And I feel like they're also maybe maturing a bit faster now than they were, like we were maybe 30 years ago. So definitely when we want to talk about sexual reproductive health and rights with young people, we cannot assume a situation, cannot assume their knowledge. We cannot assume that a certain intervention will work with the young people right now. It is really crucial that we craft whatever our interventions based on the views and needs of the young people today.
Thank you, Tomoko. The audiences, the viewers, please send your comments, feedbacks, whatever you like on this program, especially to our guests. So we'll continue our discussion, but before going to that discussion, I am going to show you a small clippings of a video to make it little bit nostalgic. And this is developed at that time with the USAID funding, and definitely we should credit Bangladesh Center for Communication Program, BCCP, for this video.
আমার দেহ আমার মন কেন থাকবে অজানায় আমার
যাচ্ছে সময় বাড়ছি আমি ভাবনা ছড়ায় যায়
নিজেকে যেন অচেনা লাগে এ আমার বয়সন্ধিকাল
আমি তো জানতে চাই জানবো লজ্জাতে আর নীরব না থাকবো আমি তো জানতে চাই জানবো লজ্জাতে নীরব না থাকবো
Well, everybody wants to know, and everybody is curious, and this age definitely is more curious. So that's that was the name Nijeke Jano, Know Thyself or Know Yourself. So this program and in this music, the script was like that. I would like to know about my adolescence. I'd like to know my growing up. I'd like to know everything and what I've been facing. So that was the material developed and in different format, booklet, in different part of the booklet was like growing up, facing child marriage, patience, love, these sort of things. And finally there was a STI, STD, HIV/AIDS. So now I'll come back to Edith. At the time, I guess it was late 90s. At that time, not much material was developed or available in Bangladesh. And if I recall, those who were involved in writing this material, they gave up the copyrights and never mentioned their names over there, you know, so that everybody could print it out and use it. Am I right, Edith?
Yeah, it was a collaborative initiative with researchers and programmers alike, all mixed group, originally those funded by USAID coming together to collaborate and produce the materials, and then expanded beyond USAID funded groups. UNFPA was involved, UNICEF was involved, BRAC was involved. So a large group of colleagues came together, went out and sought questions from young people themselves, and not all the same young people, but urban and rural, married and unmarried, in school and out of school, to make sure that we really accessed a wide range of questions that young people had. At the time, there was no internet. Can you believe it? There were no cell phones. It was the only information young people had were from blue, what you call blue films and blue magazines. And we looked at those, and there were, young people had a lot of questions. They wrote into those, into the blue magazines. I'm so delighted that Yuri's here as a sexologist. It just demonstrates how far we've come in the time, because all of those issues were really taboo. And young people still had the questions, and they were reaching out to people and being misinformed, and being fearful about their own bodies and what was happening to their bodies. So by producing materials, written materials, comics, videos, we were really attempting to have a wide range of access to information that would reach young people wherever they were at. The hopes of not having people's names on it would be to address the issue of competition amongst international and non-governmental organizations in Bangladesh, and bring people together for the same mission, to build a unified goal of really providing adolescents with access to information about their lives.
And the thing is that still we are, in some of the areas, still we are shy to talk about SRHR, particularly when the young people, even at his or her own family. So let's go to hear a girl, which Yuri knows, and then again I will come back. So can we listen for a minute? Yeah.
I don't talk about menstruation with my father, as I feel shy. What will he think if I do so? Sometimes during my menstruation, I feel pain at the lower abdomen, even though I myself go for buying my sanitary pad, and I never request my father to do so for me. During my menstrual period one day, I didn't offer my prayer, and noticing that my father scolded me a lot, even though I could not tell my father that I was having my period.
So, Yuri, it is one of the areas that you did work. So still, about the menstruation, the girls cannot talk to her father as well. But this is very natural. So where we are at, Yuri?
Yeah, well, it's very important that, also, it's always a challenge for young people to talk about menstruation or other sexual health issues to their parents. But if their parents have learned about it, and we're talking about the new generation of parents, it will become easier for them. However, it's still a personal thing, and it's still something that not everybody is able or willing to do, and that's fine. But the important thing is that young people learn where they can find good information. And if it's not their parents, it could be at school, it could be at friends or at the internet nowadays. You have a website, Yukon, where information might be available. So if they know this, they will be helped in any way, and that's our goal. And in fact, I was just remembering one of my trainings it was with PSTC in RHTEP and DSK, where one of the participants, a father of two daughters, mentioned during one of the sessions, since I learned about menstruation and about sexual and reproductive health, I was not feeling bad when my daughter started to talk about menstruation pads. And actually, I went to her with the store to find the right one. So, you know, it's just a small thing, but a big change for the family. Having this.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we need to talk more about SRHR, more and more.
Yeah.
And again, we are going to see another clip. It's for Tomoko, and we have been. There was a project called MOVA, and it was a project from I think 6 countries. It was implemented, but the thing is, the main issue that I would like to brought here is that as they are not heard in the family, the policymakers also, you know, they do not hear these young people. How to raise the voices before the policymakers? A small clip. MOVA.
Dapat pantay-pantay lang ang pagtingin dahil pare-parehas lang pinag-
আমার ক্লাসমেটের ঘটনাটা ঘটছিল তো ও প্রায় প্রতিটা
Let's get together and build a better future. Thanks.
ខ្ញុំលើកយករឿងសុខភាពបន្តពួយមកនិយាយភាសាជាមួយមិត្តបញ្ហាសុខភាពបន្តពូជឲ្យហ៊ានទទួលការពិគ្រោះនិងទទួលសេវាព្យាបាលដែលមាន
Ang kaso nga lang, kailangan ng policy or way para masabi sa kanila.
So, whether we still hear their voices, how could we reach the policymakers? Tomoko, can you give us an idea?
Yeah, I hadn't seen that video in a long time, so it brought back a lot of good memories. But I see that, you know, the issues we were tackling back then haven't really changed. I think we still have the challenge of raising young people's voices to policymakers. And in the program of MOVA, one of the key things that we were trying to do was to collect the needs and the real situations from the young people themselves. And so it was connected to things like collecting real stories. Like we know now that maternal health among young girls is still like the second leading cause of death for girls between 15 and 19. And we know also that if she has an unwanted pregnancy or unplanned pregnancy, it can result in dropping out from school, maybe a forced marriage, maybe an unsafe abortion. You know, the consequences are devastating, and they are very real stories that are there in the community, but it just has not been brought forward. So I think not in Bangladesh, but in another country, the young people themselves organized like a quick questionnaire to hear stories from about 100 people in their communities. And then they use that to create messages and then also to showcase to policymakers in their community to say, look, these are the real problems that young people face in our communities. You know, we need you to open your eyes, not to shy away from this very important topic that literally changes the course of life of young people. And these were really powerful tools, and it did reach the policymakers.
Yeah, now we have seen that some of the comments from the viewers, and one comment Millie Parvin put about the Nijeke Jano, and she commented like that now it needs to revise it as these booklets have some judgmental and incomplete information. What do you tell Irit?
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen them or read them. I wouldn't doubt that they are dated at this time. It's been over 20 years. But there's a lot of information out on the internet that is accurate and probably more comprehensive. I don't know the access to internet for young people in rural Bangladesh, but I think that it wouldn't be difficult to compile and provide people with better information. I think there's information, and then there are social norms, and the complexity of those the interrelationship between the prevailing social norms, and why we still are facing issues with regard to talking about the basic bodily functions of 50% of the population is a question.
Yeah, and for Mili Parveen, I would like to say is that every document needs revision. And when time goes, we need to revise it. And I think those who have been using it, they're updating it. Ferdoz Sujon, I think he wanted to know from Yuri that especially on sexuality communication. What does it mean, Yuri?
Well, it does not mean that you have to talk in detail about your sexuality, but it's that you are comfortable discussing this topic with other people for your own good and for your own benefit. What we know from our work is that people are able to discuss what they want and what they don't want when it comes to sexuality, or whether it's dating, or whether it's being in love and being in a relationship. They feel more comfortable, they feel more secure, and they know that they're not alone with their questions and their problems, and that there's also a lot of diversity in ideas and experiences. Whereas in the media, you sometimes get the impression that there's a standard form of sexual development and a standard age for your first experiences and your marriage. But we're all people, we're all different, and that's very normal.
Yeah, can I put this question to forward this question to Tomoko as well about the sexuality communications?
Yeah, thanks, Noor. I just wanted to share that with the COVID pandemic and what it has pushed us into, it has really opened up new avenues for communication, strongly on digital communication. And for example, IPPF has member associations in many countries in East, Southeast Asia, and Oceania region. Our member association in the Philippines, for example, they've set up a hotline for young people so they can use telephones to call in to get counseling or to get information. They're also using Facebook. I think young people are still using Facebook a lot, and all these digital platforms that are existing already. And I think young people it's very easy for them to access. And even when you do online shopping, there's a chat box that automatically pops up, and you can communicate with and ask questions. Those kinds of things where you can simultaneously communicate with somebody and chat, and then you don't have to be face to face to get the proper information. So I think the new normal that we are getting adjusted to is really changing the shape of how we communicate things. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's true, and this is one of the programs that compelled us to be here. In fact, now when I throw this media, we can reach more young people, more audiences. So you have to understand about the digital platforms and how to utilize that properly. That's the. Am I right, Irit? And often it was told that especially the parents used to tell is that, okay, I cannot give them internet because they go here and there, odd sites, bad sites, porno sites directly. So how to guide them?
I think, again, young people are smart. I think we discredit them, and being protective of them is not going to allow them to learn. And part of learning is experiencing good things, experiencing bad things, making mistakes, right? We've all made those mistakes, and that's part of learning and growing. So protecting young people for the sake of their own security, I'm not sure if that's the right strategy. I would question that.
Yeah, Yuri, do you like to add something? Because when communicating the things, especially the sex and sexuality issue, the growing up issue, the new experiences issue, the young kids do not interact with the parents. They go to the friends. So how to comfortably talk the issue with the parents, or parents could initiate the discussion with the young people?
Yeah, well, it's very difficult to start it right away. But what I always suggest is to use stories or plays or TV to start an indirect conversation. I mean, there's a lot of series on Bangladesh TV or in the community place that you can use to talk about what do you think about this, and what is your opinion about what you've seen. Also, parents should realize they've been young themselves as well. So the questions that they had as a teen are very likely to be the same that teenagers now have. Only the world is changing and internet is changing. And with this come different ideas about sexuality and different information. So, this is the only difference that may overwhelm parents, but they're not alone. And should be comfortable. The most frequently asked questions to me as a sexologist or to any other of my colleagues is, am I a normal person? Am I a normal young person? And yes, you are. I mean, you're not the only one with the questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Chaudhary Kollol has put some comment. Yeah, we developed an excellent parents module on sexuality commission. Yuri led the development process, and would you like to share about it? Maybe later on I'll come back to Yuri. I wanted to ask Tomoko that say, for example, in international, it's a name, Planned Parenthood. So how about everybody thinks that is okay, Planned Parenthood, so it's about only family planning. So how family planning and SRHR goes together? Can you say a few words on that?
Yeah, I think this is my personal opinion, but the terminology of Planned Parenthood is also outdated, but it is our name, so we still carry it. I think we are moving away from using the terminology of family planning, though. We try to use terminology like contraception, preventing unplanned pregnancies, but not family planning. Obviously, it's not just about married couples who are planning a family. So yes, I think we need to move forward from using that kind of language. And just to build on what Yuri was discussing earlier about how parents, talking with young people. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I think the strategy is to start early. When you start early, they're not shy, and they ask you questions about things that they see or hear, or just they're curious. How are babies born? I mean, how are they developed? Or she saw on TV the other day there was a man and man kissing. What is that? So you can talk about sexuality, and there are many opportunities to talk with when they are young, and it's not embarrassing, and you can tell them and they accept it. And I think that will help to really internalize it, instead of just suddenly jumping in when they've reached puberty at like 16 and trying to suddenly talk about it.
Yeah, the audiences. I think Yuri wanted to add.
No, it's just what you said. It's also my experience that the questions they have are not as detailed as we fear. I mean, they just want to know general things, and you don't have to go into detail. And children's curiosity about sexual and reproductive health, even also of adolescents, is most often different than the one in adults. So don't think that it will stimulate them to start early, because that's another mistake.
Exactly.
That's true. দর্শক মন্ডলী, and I am speaking in Bangla now. That's আপনারা আপনাদের প্রশ্ন মতামত জানাতে পারেন, এটা আগেই বলা হয়েছে. Let's now look back at video clipping. You do have the young people in Bangladesh. You do have a interactive website which is called YouCon, Youth Connect. So if you do have any question, you can just put your questions over there, and the experts here, the international expert, but there are few experts available in Bangladesh. They would reply you whatever the questions you do have. So let's have a look to a video clipping how you could get into this YouCon web page. Can we watch the YouCon web page? Yeah.
Wow, very
young
impressive.
fellows, you do have,
Very impressive.
you do have platform. If you have any question, you just click YouCon, and you could post your questions, and it is very private. Don't worry, your name won't be flashed. So you try to connect YouCon. আপনারা যারা তরুণরা যারা দেখছেন, তারা YouCon ভিজিট করুন. আপনার যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে, আপনি আমাদেরকে জানাতে পারেন. Well, we are discussing on SRHR, and the title of this episode, Let's Talk SRHR. So, Irit, I have a question for you. Now, let's talk about SRHR, but the young kids, most of their daytime, they stay at the institution, either school, college, university, but it was told the teachers don't feel comfortable to speak about sexuality or SRHR. What do you tell?
Yeah, well, I again, my experience in Bangladesh is long ago. But at that time, I remember very clearly that there was the curriculum for schools was incredibly limited. There was a lot of advocacy being done with the government to update their curriculum. But even if the curriculum is there, it doesn't mean teachers are comfortable or that's part of their training to deliver the curriculum and feel comfortable talking about these things. And honestly, we see that in the US as well. To be able to talk about sexual and reproductive health requires some training, requires the system to be in place to educate them and inform them and bring them up to speed with how to talk about it, or as well as parents, like we were just talking about. It's a societal issue, and we should all really be making an effort to improve our ability to speak openly and clearly about this basic fundamental issue in our lives. So it's a real issue. I saw somebody commenting on providers and health centers who don't want to provide young people with care. And, 10 years ago, I did a study here in New York, and we had a similar issue. There are some people who have specifically conservative views and enact those views through whichever position they fill. So we need to work on those providers, but we also need to bring adolescents along so that they can demand their rights as human beings and they can speak out for themselves. They can organize and come together and decide their future together. So I think it's a multifaceted challenge that we need to face.
Thank you, Reed. Yeah, it's true, and it is global. It's not only in Bangladesh, and many of the teachers, they don't feel comfortable to talk about sexuality issues with the students. Yuri, you are a sexologist. From your experience, we'd like to know is that the young people with whom they are comfortable with talking about the sex and sexuality issues.
Yeah. Well, of course, mostly it's with age, with peers, and sometimes also with parents. But it depends on the context, and also, like Jude said, sometimes you need a little training or some advices on how to discuss sexuality in a safe way. And also for teachers, this can be a challenge, and mostly because, like many people think that being open about sexuality is being open about your own personal sex life, and that's not the same. You can be very open teaching sexuality and sexual health without revealing anything of your own life. Also, what is important to realize is if you facilitate comprehensive sexuality education in the way that we do this with our partners in Bangladesh or elsewhere in the world, mostly IPPF members, it means that we have a respect for diversity in norms and values. It's not that we want people to think the same about sexuality. We only want people to have enough information, basic information, that they need to make their own choices, whether it be for abstinence, for example, or whether it be for dating before marriage. And we think, it's up to the person to decide in their own context. We are not saying you should do this or you should do this, but make informed and safe decisions. That's the only thing we think. It's about health.
Yeah. We are just looking at Kona Binte Kurim. Can you show that? Yeah. How pandemic puts SRHR under pressure globally. Any one of you share your work experience with us, as well of work in global arena? I will give it to Tomoko, and Tomoko had some study, and she was just mentioning is that the COVID situation, how SRHR is affected.
Yes, I think definitely this pandemic has put a real pressure on SRHR, but not because it's an infectious disease, but because of the severe lockdown measures put in by government, which is of course necessary to control the spread of the infectious disease, but it means that people are confined in their homes for long periods of time. So we've heard of higher incidents of sexual violence, for example. We've also had anecdotal kind of incidents report of higher unplanned pregnancies among young people. For example, our member association in Hong Kong was saying there was a increase in asking about abortion services, for example, from young people. So of course, it's not a countrywide national survey or anything, but we have seen that there are incidences that are arising in young people. And of course, the access to health services or the necessary any SRH services also becomes limited because you don't have the free access to go out and to the clinics. Sometimes the clinics have had to shift their priorities to COVID response so that other things like providing contraceptives becomes low on their priority, for example. There are many ways that COVID has put a pressure on SRHR, and I think we are seeing that in the communities right now.
Yeah, just I'd like to add, though am not supposed to talk more, is that we had a study during this COVID pandemic in the intervention areas where we are providing some interventions. And that is for this pandemic situation, every activities were stalled. So we wanted to know about 1,000 young people we surveyed, and they told the behavior has changed. Like the girls told that is, in the rural Bangladesh, many of the girls uses old clothes during her menstruation. And as now sanitary napkins are available more, they can go for buying it. But the thing is, as everything is under lockdown, the rate of using the sanitary napkin has gone down, and usage of old clothes, gone up. This has happened. Another worrying scenario is that the project which has been sponsoring this discussion program, they have been working for stopping child marriage, and worryingly, the child marriage cases has also increased in those areas. You see, what happened, and everything is under lockdown. So the local administration is busy with, doing some, providing attention to the pandemic situation. A lot more things are needed to done. So they are not maybe paying attention to the marriage they need to do. So COVID has changed our behavior, and we do not know how long it would continue, but we have to start thinking that is how within this pandemic situation we can still seek for SRHR information, services, everything. Okay. Again, the issue is Sushmita Ahmed talks from Yuri. We are interested to know regarding mental health involvement with adolescent sexuality in COVID situation. Do you want to respond, Yuri?
Yes. Well, I know this all from experiencing here in the Netherlands. We noticed that in days of COVID, it's less likely for young people to meet and to talk with each other but they do it online. However, they are creative, so they know how to find themselves and how to communicate with each other about these issues. And we are very lucky to have a very popular website hosted by Rutgers and STI Netherlands, who is very interactive and very participatory with young people. So, for example, we've included a lot of personal stories on this situation that help other young people to make the best out of it. Like I said, we are not the experts in this way, but we are the channels through which they communicate. So this is helpful for their mental health. But also we notice that a lot of young people seek help because of sexual harassment at home or other threatening situations, because they're less out on the street. in a threatening environment. This is a challenge for their health and well-being as well.
I think Irudu wants to add anything. Okay, so I'd like to again going back to that study I referred. It was done during end July to early August, and we have seen the violence cases also has increased. So, do you want to say a few words on violence issue and during COVID situation, Tomoko?
Yeah, definitely. It has, I think, risen, probably not just in Bangladesh, but in almost all the countries. We're hearing that the cases rise, and it's a very stressful situation. Maybe the income of the family is getting lower. 4, 5, 6 family members in a small room, and you're bumping elbows with each other all day long. It is a very stressful situation. It's very easy to imagine that violence would occur and people would be unhappy in those situations. So it has been a little bit difficult to reach out to the women who are facing these issues. We have hotlines, we had drop-in centers before, but when women are not able to travel out from that situation, it's a little bit difficult to reach out to them. But some of the member associations of IPPF are part of national efforts to tackle gender-based violence in the homes. So they are coordinating efforts with government or local authorities, and if there are cases that they know of, and then they are able to refer them to healthcare centers.
So yeah, we are almost the time is about an hour, so we're going to conclude with few words from each of you. So before that, what I'd like to say is that we are having this Amate Ami program. Amate Ami means me and myself. So Amate Ami program for last 12 weeks, and this is the 13th week. We are going to conclude for this after this episode for the time being, and we are hoping that the audiences want this sort of program more and more. The viewers already wrote us that how we could continue. So we'll be taking a pause and redesign our program, and then maybe coming back. So I think we have had a little statistics of last 12 episodes, especially 11 episode, and the 12th one was a sort of special episode about connecting youth. So we are having a small analysis, and let us see that first, and then maybe we'll be hearing from each of you, and then we'll conclude. Yeah, why we have shown it? Because with the little money, we could reach such amount of people. And this COVID situation compelled us to utilize this platform. and you know that is the, I'd like to say, especially to the young people, that you can utilize the media for positivity. So try to utilize this sort of social media sites positively, and you could learn, you could earn even utilizing this social media. So we are going to conclude, but before that, as per our practice, we request our guests to say a few words, that is in one line, to the viewers. So Irit, who works first?
Yeah, just a quick thank you all for tuning in, and it was so nice to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation to participate.
Thank you, Irit. Yuri.
Yeah, thank you all for inviting me, and also very interesting to hear the other experts' comment. I hope next time also more young people will be in the panel, because we hear their voices very. We need their voices too. And to all the young people out there, I would like to say, let yourself be heard. Don't be afraid to ask questions, whether or not anonymously, because you're not the only one. Young people in the whole world have similar questions, so ask them and make use of a good answer.
For Yuri, and in each of the episodes, we had the one young person at least. So today is the special one and the concluding one. That's why we could not accommodate the young people. Tomoko.
Yeah, so thanks, Noor, and big congratulations to you and the team for pulling this show together. It's very impressive, the number of people that you have reached. And to build on Yuri's comment to young people, I think I would like to encourage people to take action. So in Yuri's comment, you heard, yes, you need to ask questions, you need to get the information, but then the really crucial step is for you to take action, whether it be to raise your voice or whether it be to access services. And you need courage to do that, maybe, but that will really change your life. So I would encourage you to do that. And for parents, to have courage to also talk with your children, and it's not so scary as Yuri says, and it's not so daunting. So a big, great well wishes for all the viewers. And thanks, Noor, for inviting me on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. And again, thank each of you. And the time difference is huge. Someone is, late night for Tomoko. I know that. Yuri from Yuri and Irit, and has been in the office, I think, have been. So doing office and from home. Again, thank you very, very much. The audiences, what our guest already told, I am going to tell that in Bangla, is that আমরা কথা বলতে হবে, SRHR নিয়ে কথা বলতে হবে, সে ইয়াং পিপল হলেও কথা বলতে হবে, বাবা মা হলেও কথা বলতে হবে, টিচারদেরও কথা বলতে হবে, এবং সবাইকে এটা নিয়ে কথা বলতে হবে। কথা বলার কোনো বিকল্প নেই। আমরা এই সেক্সুয়াল রিপ্রোডাক্টিভ হেলথ অ্যান্ড রাইটস, যৌন প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য এবং যে একটা অধিকার, এটা আমাদের জানতে হবে, বুঝতে হবে, ভাবতে হবে। আমরা বলতে চাই যে মানুষের জন্ম থেকে মৃত্যু পর্যন্ত যে সময়কাল রয়েছে, সেই সময়কালে প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য আছে, সেই সময়কালে যৌন স্বাস্থ্য আছে। কাজেই সেটা নিয়ে কথা বলা আপনার অধিকার। আপনি কথা বলুন, আপনাকে কথা বলতে হবে, আপনার অধিকার আপনাকে আদায় করে নিতে হবে। সো ভিউয়ার্স, শুভরাত্রি, গুড নাইট, বাই বাই,
বাই বাই।